Attention everybody, this is the captain speaking and welcome to my channel, The New Traveling Critic. I'm your host Kapitan Konopis and today you're finding me at Tart Cafe in Kifisia, northern suburbs Athens, the very same place where we said goodbye on my previous channel. Today I would like to talk to you about how it all began, how I became the YouTuber I am today. It all started in the year 2006. At that time, I was working on the fifth floor of a building of a newspaper that in the meantime has closed down. And on that fifth floor was a company where what I was mostly doing was telephone marketing. At the same time, I was also working as a supportive actor. I was attending 4 classes at a theatrical workshop called the Theater of Changes, and I was also teaching to students of mine in English and German. Don't ask me how I managed to juggle all that. If there's a will, there is a way. After approximately 6 months, I was released from the job because, unfamiliar as I was then with telemarketing, I did a series of horrible mistakes. In the meantime, however, I managed to become friends with one of my colleagues who has also started acting, and her name is Chrysikona Theologou. We used to call her Chrisa, which is an abbreviation of her name, but the full name is Chrysikona, which means goat picture in Greek, a very beautiful name. And we need to make the distinction because later there's going to come another Chrisa into the story. A couple of years later, I found Chrysikona, who by now had become an actress, at an audition, and later she asked me to come to see her at a play she was participating. The play was called "Και σεις για τον γιατρό," You Are for the Doctor Too, and it was staged at the Horos Technis Asomaton, the Asomaton Art Space in Physio, downtown Athens. Unemployed as I was back then, I told her I don't have any money, and she said, I will send you an invitation. So I went there, I saw the performance, I liked it, and after the show, I told the actors my opinion. The next day, I got a call from Chrysikona who told me that another girl who was also called Chrisa, actually Chrysanthi, which means gold flower in Greek, who was playing in the play, had a theatrical website called theatro.gr. And so you go there for free to watch. Theatrical performances and write reviews for that website. And she wanted me to write a review about the play, and if she liked it, I was going to be going permanently watch theater for free and write reviews. We were all volunteers at theater.gr, so nobody got paid, but nevertheless, it was still theater for free. At that moment, I had a flashback because back in the 1990s, I was a student then at the American College of Greece. I had a fellow student whose name was Elias Dimopoulos, and knowing that I was a movie buff, he offered me a paid job at the magazine Cinema as an article writer, as a critic. And he told me I should send an application. And since I had never sent an application back then, and I also had read an extraordinary article of Elias in the magazine, I asked myself, what do I know about movies? And I turned the offer down. And ever since, I have been banging my head on the wall. So now when that opportunity came up, I told myself, Captain, don't make the same mistake twice. And I said yes. And within a very short time span of years, the name Kapitan Konopis became renowned among the acting circles to the extent that even actors and directors invited me to watch their plays and write reviews about them. Let me have a sip of my coffee and I'm going to continue the story. At the same time, however, I was also doing something else. I was pretending to be traveling around the world on Facebook. Initially, I did it only for fun, but then I realized something. Let's say that I said that I was in Algeria and suddenly Facebook suggested a page about a movie theater in Algiers. Or I said I was in Canada and then Facebook suggested a page about a bakery in Ottawa. Or I said I was in Malta and Facebook suggested a humorous page in Maltese. And I realized then that what we know by the media and by tourist guides about countries is only a very small percentage. And so I decided to be pretending to traveling around the world. I called it cyber traveling with the purpose of helping to lift stereotypes and labels. And so in order to make things a little bit more interesting, I did what people would. So first of all, I need to say that I was inspired by a list on Google. It was called Famous Birthdays, and so I was showing celebrities of various countries. I was showing anthems, daily life, recipes, whatever. And in order to make things even more interesting, I did what people would do if really being there. So let's say I was supposed to be in Brazil and I was going to eat at a Brazilian restaurant in Athens, or I was supposed to be in Indonesia and I was learning to cook gado gado, or I was supposed to be in Ireland or Denmark or Jamaica, and respectively I was reading The Dubliners by James Joyce or The Big Book of Hygge or the autobiography of Usain Bolt. Or I was watching movies from those countries, or if those movies happened to be released at the same time in those countries and in Greece, I was watching movies released in those countries. So let's say that the movie San Andreas Fault was released both in Greek and Algerian cinemas, and I was supposed to be in Algeria. I went to see the San Andreas Fault. But I took things even a step further. Even though I pointed it out that my travels were fake, I was pointing it out every time. I was fake traveling with real flights at real times. So at that time, when you went to Google and were looking for flight time from one place to another, Google was showing you the flights and also the departure time and the duration of the flight and also connecting flights. So let's say I was supposed to be in New York and I was supposed to be flying to Jakarta, Indonesia, and I'm picking randomly a flight, Singapore Airlines. And Singapore Airlines was leaving at 6 a.m. New York time. So because you need to be 2 hours earlier at the airport, of course, I was saying at 4 o'clock a.m. New York time, not Greek time, New York time, that I am at JFK and I'm leaving with the Singapore Airlines for Jakarta. And then as long as that flight lasted, plus 1 hour, supposedly for picking up luggage and finding accommodation, I was off Facebook. So when people invited me to their theatrical plays and I was there, they asked me, what are you doing here? I thought you were in Indonesia, in Madagascar, in Paris, wherever I was supposed to be. And one actress, her name is Avyi Papadopoulou, thought not only was I really traveling, but I was also getting paid for it. And she thought I was also getting paid for my reviews. Fast forward to the year 2019, the year my father passed away. And for family reasons, I had to travel to the United States for real this time. And coincidentally, a former fellow student from the American College of Greece, her name is Maria Tsaroucha, who had become an actress, had just moved to New York, and she was participating at a play. So I took the train and she told me to come see her. So I took the train and I went to New York and I saw the play and I wrote a review and I sent it to Chrysanthi, my editor at theater.gr. And then in the year 2022, I traveled to probably my most favorite island in Greece so far, the island of Poros. And those of you who are familiar with my previous channel know that I also traveled to Poros in 2023, 1 year after that, and I made a series of episodes there. But I also traveled to Poros in 2022, and I'm traveling frequently to Poros. But the year before 2022, when I was on Poros, was actually somewhere during the first decade of the millennium. And back then, I wasn't writing any articles yet, and I hadn't known any Chrysanthi yet. So this time things were a little bit different, because as soon as I arrived at my hotel, Chrysanthi sent me a message telling me there are two events taking place with free entrance in the run of the Lemon Tree Festival, and I should go watch it. And I went and I saw it and I liked it, and I was intending to write a review, but the responsible guy sent on my email the wrong information and I never wrote the review. Never mind. And then in the same year, I learned about a theatrical performance in Kuwait in English titled The Wizard of Oz, and I heard that it had tremendous success and had sold out tickets. So I sent to Chrysanthi a message, and I told her, why don't you send me to Kuwait to write about the Wizard of Oz? And even though it was a joke, it lit a light in me because I told myself, why don't you turn into a profession what Avi thought it was a profession? And so I created my YouTube channel, The Traveling Critic, which the idea was that I was going to promote countries mostly from a perspective people don't know and theatrical performances taking place in those countries. And then, after approximately a decade of writing at theodor.gr, I decided to create a page of my own called The Traveling Reviews, where I was going to write my own reviews about theater. And that went on for 2 years. And then, for reasons that I have explained in episode 2 on this channel, I decided to delete my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. And after things had calmed down a little bit, I realized the gigantic stupidity I had done, and I created a new YouTube channel, the one here, the New Traveling Critic, and a new Facebook page, also the New Traveling Critic. And upon popular demand from my previous channel, I also created an Instagram account, New Traveling Critic, one word. And even though at the moment it is still a hobby, I hope if it is successful enough that it will turn into a profession at some point. And so this is how I became the YouTuber I am today. That was all for today. Our next encounter is scheduled to be after Easter, so I would like to wish everybody a happy Easter, and until soon, stay well. Goodbye.